Hello, and thank you for joining us for this discussion on the Guyana Timber Expo, which will be held in May 18th to 20th. With us, we have a representative from the government and private sector, Mr. Kenny David, who is head of the Forest Products Development and Marketing Council, and Mr. Andrew Mendez, who is the director of MacVantage. Mr. Mendez, private sector representative, we know that you represent MacVantage, and MacVantage is a company that will be featuring a lot of things at this expo coming in May 18th to 20th. Tell us a little bit about the reason why, as a private sector representative, you see this Timber Expo as a very important venture for Guyana, for the timber sector.
Well, I think it's extremely important because there is a perception locally that we can't get good quality timber locally, and timber doesn't last. And that to a certain extent has driven a lot of people, contractors and other people constructing new homes to build in pine, which saw a wholesale importation of pine for that market. What we'll be showcasing at the expo is that yes, you can get quality, in particular straight lumber, from local suppliers. So I think it's going to be about not only ourselves but about 22 other private sector companies also showing their product. So for people looking for new home construction, so it's one to basically be able to package products to show for the local construction industry. And also for people, I do believe there's going to be quite a contingent of, if you like, overseas buyers coming in. Certainly we'll be getting some of our customers that we deal with overseas coming in. Whole idea is to show really Guyanese that yes, we can get quality products, wooden products, to be able to use in our homes. We've had too many instances where wood that's supplied isn't dried, wood isn't straight, it's not graded properly. So we'll be addressing a lot of those issues and basically showing the product pre-packaged in bundles,
that's interesting,
with different grades, so people can see the quality of what is available locally. On the Farfana Mendez side, for which I'm also the managing director of, we'll also be showcasing better practices to produce better quality lumber, in particular straightness. So we'll be basically ripping lumber into boards, which produces much straighter lumber than the common practice of cutting orders out of logs, which has led to a lot of lumber being produced that's not straight. A lot of contractors, are always complaining about, how the wood isn't straight and they have to jack it together. It takes a long time to put a floor together. We'll be showcasing kiln-dried lumber. You'll have a lot of end-match flooring basically available, not only from ourselves but from other suppliers, in pre-packaged square footage kits.
Wow,
so you're not going to be going, so the idea is, we want to make it easy for people to buy the product.
Yeah, I certainly understand and can relate to easier
to buy.
Yes.
So wouldn't it be nice if you have a room, it's 400 square feet, and you can go in and buy 20 or 25 square foot packages of kiln dried and match flooring,
and just have it
off
installed.
the shelf, out of stock. Somehow people feel that because it's a wood industry, all of a sudden we can't stock lumber for customers. I run a business, and if I don't have stock, I don't sell. And somehow we feel that the local the timber industry is somehow different to that. We'll be showcasing the fact that it isn't.
Oh, that's good. Now, the theme for this Timber Expo we're seeing here is expanding markets for Guyanese timber products through public education, awareness, and sensitization to promote a greener Guyana. It talks here a lot about not only expanding markets, which you touched on briefly, but and that's locally, specifically. How do you intend to target your overseas market, expand that market base through the Timber Expo?
Well, basically, one area is that, like our company, we have a limited range of species. I think with combining with the other exhibitors, we'll be able to show a wider range of species and a wider range of products. So, certainly a lot of the exhibitors will be able to benefit from getting to talk to even our customers. You know, some of the product that they're looking for, we can't provide. So it opens up the scope for them to be able to also provide products to an export market through the exposure that we offer.
Oh, great. Mr. David, coming from the team, we talked a little bit about expanding these markets for Guyanese timber products through public education, awareness, and sensitization. What role does government have in that aspect?
Thanks, Laura. I think government, and especially from the marketing council's perspective as well, is very, very excited about this Timber Expo because of, for all the reasons Andrew alluded to, and it gives Guyanese a chance to see that timber is still a product that can be used once prepared properly, treated properly. Because a lot of the sector is sort of moving, or the buyers are moving away from wood and wooden products. But from the government level, at level of the council, we are, one of our mandate is to really promote product development and marketing. And so for us, it's also working along with persons like Go Invest, who have partnered with us, I think, in being able to bring a lot of external investors. And so it's one of the areas we are really hoping we can really cover a lot of ground, bring a lot of persons who are interested. Because certainly I think we believe that there is a product to offer, and not just locally here, but even we understand better understanding of what the market is looking for out there. I think from our perspective, it's being able to support this process, being able to help in any way we can, so that they can eventually be quite a success.
One of the main objectives coming from the theme of this is to demonstrate the sector's ability to reliably supply quality lumber that's comparative to that of imported timber. Private sector, Mr. Mendez, how would you say that this Timber Expo is going to maximize on that and deliver on that objective?
Well, I think basically what you'll be seeing is, it's not just going to be piles of lumber around the place for people to come and look at. What they'll have, I know some of the plans of some of the exhibitors is they'll actually have flooring put down in different species, so you can come in and look at it with maybe different coatings on it. Again, all kiln dried and match flooring, so you can see and then you can look at the color and have an idea about how that would look in your house. It's more of a theme or creating an ambience that people can see
how
the beauty of wood,
the
beauty of wood, and how it would accentuate a home. I have a lot of wood in my house, and everybody comes in, and I got crabwood in the kitchen, green heart for my patio. I've got parquet, green heart flooring, and I've got locust doors, and it'll be showcasing all of those and showing how wood can really enhance basically the look and in reality the value of a home.
Yes.
Another point is, we're talking earlier about the green economy. Most people don't realize that basically, we've all gone away to building in concrete. But people don't realize that 1 inch of wood has the same insulation value of 15 inches of concrete. So in terms of designing cooler houses that are cooler to run, more efficient to run, wood is actually, a very green product.
Yes, and very friendly.
Right,
yes.
Environmentally friendly. I know in the United States and a lot of places in Europe, you do get what they call LEED values if you construct in wood versus other more energy and environmentally damaging products like cement or whatever. The problem is that most people feel that wood doesn't last. But I would suggest that people look at South Rhine Belt Gardens, which was built for Carapest in 1972, and all those wooden houses are still standing. The reason those houses have stood for that length of time is all that wood was kiln dried.
Okay.
And basically that's what helps wood last that long.
Would you agree that persons tend to turn to concrete because of the lack of knowledge and maybe the information about timber and also the quality? Well, unaware of where to source it and where to get it. Would you believe that that's one of the disadvantages where people are at?
I think people are frustrated with the quality that has typically in the past been available in the local market, and so people have gone to substitutes.
Yeah.
Because wood is supplied green, if it's not kiln dried, it is not going to last. Part of the kiln drying process is you're taking the core of the wood above 130 degrees Fahrenheit for more than half an hour.
Yeah.
That kills all bacteria and that kills all fungus. What is it that rots wood? Bacteria and fungus. And that's why the wood doesn't last. The wood needs to be dried and it needs to be finished properly.
And some of this will be featured at the expo in terms of demonstration?
Well, we'll be showing basically a lot of kiln dried product, quality product that's straight, and it's also graded.
Okay.
I mean, consumers also need to know that there is a grading rule that defines a quality that any supplier should be giving you. And where there's obviously a dispute with the seller in terms of the grade, GFC is the owner of that grade, and they're the final decision maker on what that grade is. So it's a way for the consumer to also educate themselves and also to make sure that they get what they're asking for. When we have grading rules that define straightness, defects, or whatever that are clearly defined, it informs a contract between buyer and seller. It means that I'm clear to you as a supplier what I'm looking for, and also you as a supplier being clear to me. So we end up with no possibility for dispute.
Coming from the government and as a major organization that's playing a big role in the coordination of this Timber Expo, Mr. David, who are the main categories of persons that will be showcasing their products at the Timber Expo?
So we'll have the guys that are actually cutting the wood in that sense, as you mentioned, to show what is the best practices in that sense. But we'll also have sawmillers, lumberyard operators. We'll have the guys who are doing furniture as well, and of course we have some members of the craft association, because they also use wood to produce some pretty high value products. So it's also, I think it will be useful to have them there as well. But in addition to that as well, I think it's important to mention that we'll also have some other agencies that are involved, because wood coming to the marketplace must come there legally.
Yes.
And for that to happen, there are a number of other agencies that are sort of operate as part of that entire sort of package. So when it comes to it's NIS or GRA or the EPA, there are a number of things that have to be in place. And of course, even we talk about the external market, we have to talk about environmental protection.
Yes.
And we have to talk about the social aspect of forestry as well. And so for us, it's also bringing a number of those agencies that are involved or within that process, bringing them also to the expo. That persons that are coming. So while you'll see the timber and the best quality, the highest quality, you'll also have a chance to interact with the persons and the agencies that are sort of operating in the sector as well, and getting a chance to liaise with them directly to get a sense of what are some of the kinds of information you need to have in place, documents to fill out to ensure that your business is legal and legally registered, and you can be part of the trade in that sense.
Who are the people that we want to come out, who we feel will benefit in a very big way from attending this Timber Expo and having the experience?
Well, certainly the homeowners, person that are home builders, person who looking, because right now we say there's a building boom in that sense.
Yeah.
So certainly a lot of persons are looking to build their homes. So we're looking for them, architects, anyone really who is interested in using wood, in a way that, a quality product that gives them the service that it was really designed to give. So it's also targeting university, some of the institutions like universities, some schools as well, because we believe that, as Andrew mentioned, there's a lack of education awareness about timber and how timber can be used. So we don't want to have an expo of this nature and not have those institutions be a part of it as well. So GTE, Technical Institute, would be we think would also be a useful, so we also want them to be part of this and to come out and let the students come and have a look and a better understanding. So because one of the things the Commission will do, will also have a booth that gives a lot of information on forestry and on tracking and tracing timber, legality, for them to understand that aspect of it also, but also to deal with, as Andrew mentioned, drying practices, GPSs, how to operate them. A number of things will happen over the 3 days So we're really hoping that as wide a cross section of persons, as I said, architects and home builders and all these furniture manufacturers as well. A lot of them are also leaning towards pine
Yeah.
in a big way now. A lot of the guys who are making furniture now are saying, hey, if we pine it works well. But there are a number of reasons why our timbers are not really working as well as it should. And we're really hoping that those persons can come so we can be able to share with them the kind of information that says, we have a product that can do equally, if not a better job than what some of the imported lumber is doing, but you need to come and have a chance, a first-hand experience, as it were, something like this.
So we're just a few weeks shy of the Timber Expo. Literally, we're already almost in May. What has the government and private sector been doing to set that platform to encourage overseas buyers to come in and look at the products? And we talked to really reach that theme where we want to expand market.
Part of our preparedness for the export market has been with McVantage and Evercrama, we're FSC certified. So we can actually supply timber, what they call Category A certified timber, to the UK market, and it's also it allows preferential market access. So that's one aspect. And in terms on the government side, the whole move towards the FLEC licensing, which will then allow easier access for our timber to the European market. And then the idea is that also too for the US market in terms of the Lacey Act, also allowing our timber to easily enter into that market. The caveat to that is we need to really improve our quality and the quality of what we produce, because we can have all the certifications we want, but if the quality isn't there, there's no way it's going to go into those markets. So.
And in terms of promoting the expo, what have you been doing to foster that and encourage that visibility of the expo to the overseas potential buyers?
Directly with the buyers that deal with us, we've invited them to come down for the expo to see not only our product, but obviously all the other exhibitors as well. Because as I said, we don't have all the species, and we can't be all things as a company. We can't be all things to all people.
Right.
So I mean, and it's part of it.
That will come in there.
Yeah, if they benefit, in the end, we'll benefit because a lot of times what we do is we would outsource some production to other people, because if we don't have the species, or we're just maybe maxed out in supplying our customers, it allows us to now be able to still meet market demand.
Great.
And be reliable to the market by working with other people.
Mr. David, from government?
Yeah, as Andrew mentioned, and certainly with programs like the FLEC VPA, trying to ensure that at a sort of macro level, that there are systems in place that assures buyers that they're of the legality of timber, then that there are systems in place in country that can track and trace timber, that assures that legality all the way to the market. But in addition to that, we have also worked on developing a website that really provides a lot of information on the expo and who's going to be there, because a lot of the external persons or investors are really looking to, again, they're not going to come unless they have some sense of what's going to be there and who's going to be there. So trying to, as far as possible, provide information on those participants and the kinds of products they're going to bring. And I think that I think will work well in generating the kind of interest. Additionally, as I mentioned earlier, working with Go Invest, who I think has a better sense, and working again with the council as well, a sense of where the markets are, the potential markets for timber, for Guyanese, for tropical hardwoods, and being able to target specific companies and persons directly. Go Invest, I think, over the years have really amassed a wealth of knowledge on markets and really getting persons. So therefore, we're really thankful for the support they've given in being able to reach out to those persons. So I think the interest has been good, the interest shown. So we're really expecting a lot of investors to come and be part of this event and understand a little bit more about the sector, and hopefully be willing to take that next step in terms of investing in what we believe to be a really lucrative business venture.
During the 3 days of the Timber Expo, we'll be having featured activities, and this will be posted on our website and shared among our stakeholders. Tell us a little bit more about the feature activities that will be happening throughout the 3 days, and how important it is for people to know what's happening when? How is that engagement going to happen?
Well, certainly for one of our companies, Farfan and Mendez, we'll be demonstrating equipment and the use of that equipment. And what we'll do is we'll post post times of when we'll be running demonstrations for people to come at. We can't obviously be running it all the time.
Yes.
I think it would be a nuisance to everyone else if we were running equipment all the time. But certainly we'll be showing them at prescribed times, obviously ripping lumber after it's dried and how straight the lumber comes out versus, as I said, cutting to order out of logs. And the other thing we'll also be showcasing, and where people can come up and actually operate themselves, obviously with the relevant safety gear on. We'll have nail guns being demonstrated, because one of the big issues we have is that green heart is so difficult to nail. You have to pre-drill it and so on. So we'll have nail guns there to basically drive the nail right through without splitting with the right design nail. So we're showcasing, and people can get to see, touch, and feel the fact that how easy it is with the nail guns and how fast it is. So not only for homeowners but contractors, and carpenters, engineers, and so on. So it makes our timber easier to work with. One of the things with pine is people say, oh, it's so easy to work with because when you're pounding a nail in, it's a lot easier. With the nail gun, everyone's the same. Any kind of wood, you can basically nail.
Mr. David?
One of the other groups I think it would be good to have, we're really hoping to play a role, is also the Central Housing and Planning Authority, and it's one of the groups that will be there because we really worked closely with them over the last couple of months, and they've actually indicated the use of a lot more of timber, and particularly the lesser used species, in some of these schemes that are now being established. So that I think has been a very positive collaboration. We want to also give person a chance to understand the forestry itself. I mean, the forests themselves, what forestry actually does. As I said, there's an educational component to this whole expo. There is also going to be presentation on some of the other international, like we mentioned, the FLEC VPA. That we want to do a small program that supports us understand, particularly for even those that are coming in country to visit, to understand that Guyana is, while it may be a small country, not just cut it, but there is a lot more that is happening behind the scenes. We want to also give persons a chance to have a bit of, some persons say, we want to understand how GPSs work, we don't understand, the device itself, and they kind of shy away from it. We want to do a small demonstration on that. At a certain time, persons can come, provide the GPS to get their hands on, get to train as far as possible.
A mini training from
exactly.
The training center.
They can, and so, also the whole, as I said, the tracking and tracing, and also other agencies as well, and the role they play in that sense, so that persons understand. And of course, if there are questions, I think one of the things that we would want to encourage is that just an information session as well. And there are persons who want to understand how you should, as Andrew mentioned, treat wood. What are some of the best methods? What are some of the things that you should do as a home? Why is it better to use one species over another? And have a session where we just talk about timber and the best way to protect it, how to use it, so that persons, and then they can be very interactive. They can ask their questions as well. So it's a couple of things that and we'll, of course, as you mentioned, publish that on the website as to when these events are happening. Also, one of the things we want to do is to bring someone, one or two persons who have been using tropical timber at a higher level, maybe at the international level. So also talk about their experiences as well in terms of using timber, because I think it's good for us as Guyanese, I think, to hear that timber being used out there, that there are people who are using it and are quite happy with it and are looking to get a lot more.
Yes.
And if we do a lot of some of the things that Andrew alluded to earlier, that there is a really large lucrative market out there. But I think, for them to hear, sort of firsthand from somebody, one or two persons who are using it externally, to say, yes, we think it's good and we want to get more, but there's some things that need to happen. It sort of makes it a little more real for the persons that are here.
I understand that the lesser used species is one of the featured, one of the reasons why we're having this Timber Expo. We're always on a move to promote the lesser used species. Share with the audience some of the aspects about the lesser used species.
Well, I mean, a lot of the lesser used species, basically, again, most of our timbers are basically heavy and dense, and they lend themselves more to more exterior applications. So I think that's why we're putting in a boardwalk made up of lesser used species, so people can walk across it,
Yes.
physically see what these species look like
Yeah.
on the ground in front of them. They'll be nicely coated, but obviously with just a clear coat, so they can see the color.
Yeah.
And then they can also talk to people at the expo and knowledgeable about the properties of the species. Is this suitable for outdoors? Is this suitable for indoors?
Yeah.
How do you
Because-
have to deal with it?
But the less used species, because they're less used, tend to people tend to think that they would, perform less in application, that they wouldn't get the intended result as they would if they use green heart, for instance, or purple heart, or carbocali.
So, for instance, black acarati is very well known for marine applications. It's almost the same class of strength class under European norms as, say, green heart. So it's very suitable for immersion in water, those, for sea defense work. Everybody knows about cacarati piles, for instance.
Yeah.
Kautabali, similar as well. But some other species like people may not be aware of, Womaradan, which is very well known in Suriname, which is called Basilochus in Suriname, very well known species. It's sold in the United States, and it's actually called naval deck because years ago, during the Second World War, Basilochus was used as a decking material for aircraft carriers. So the planes used to land on because of its durability and suitability for that application.
The Timber Expo is May 18th to 20th, and we know that that is within the period for Carnival. How do we see the Timber Expo? We have Carnival, we have the Timber Expo. Why now? Or then, rather.
I think there'll be a lot of the diaspora coming back to Guyana.
Yeah.
Some of them with oil and stuff maybe looking to come back or looking to invest in Guyana to do new construction. So I think it's an opportune moment for them to see also what's available here.
Yeah.
And in terms of hopefully a lot of overseas, non-Guyanese will be coming in to be part of the carnival, and they can also see and see what is available locally of quality that they may wish to then order or take back out of Guyana.
So certainly they'll be exposed to a wide range of stakeholders out there who are in the various categories of furniture, sawmilling, lumberyards, etc. Would you agree with that?
So, there's a lot of opportunity. When you have this amount of exhibitors and this amount of products in one area, it can drive a lot of opportunities. So people can see potential for future business and then strike deals with different people to help, improve their business in the future. And I know with oil and gas coming, there's a lot of people building, for instance, these condominiums and housing and stuff to rent to what they perceive is going to be an influx of expatriates to live in Guyana. I think those people, you would really differentiate your accommodation if you have that warm feeling that wood provides for it. When you go into a house and it's just tile and so on, it's more
Clinical.
It's more clinical, I would say.
Yes.
It doesn't have that warm feeling. And I think that was what could help differentiate a lot of homes from, by using wood, you can actually really differentiate your product that you're offering to them.
What about the opportunity to engage with investors, potential investors,
Well,
interact,
I think, if we do a good job in showing our product, then they can maybe able to then look at that and then transpose to that how that would look in their markets and what they could potentially do as a business with our forest within Guyana and in forest products. I know in particular with ExxonMobil coming here, certainly it's opened up a lot of people's eyes now to, well, maybe we can look at Guyana now for investment or whatever. We're certainly tied in with a U.S. company. McVantage is joint venture between a Guyanese and U.S. companies, and maybe we can start to get more investment in that will help change forestry as we know it in Guyana.
Okay, and so as we wrap up this program, what message would you like to leave to the audience out there about the Timber Expo?
I think the message really is, I think we haven't had a Timber Expo in a number of years. I think what I would want to say is, it's worth coming to. Certainly, just to understand timber, understand its applications. And I think it would be a nice place to visit, because in many people's minds there are a lot of questions, and I would say come and as far as possible get those questions answered. What we are trying to do is not only bring the persons, the products in that sense, but even the resources to be able to address, because there may still be a number of concerns we may not be able to address here, but certainly at that level we can have a more face-to-face interaction. So I would say come down, all those persons that, as you mentioned, somebody whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a contractor, because many times those are the guys that are making the decisions on what types of wood and stuff should be used.
Certainly.
So I would say those guys can come down and ask the hard questions. We're going to try to, at least as far as possible, as Andrew mentioned, as a group. It's certainly a healthy experience, and I would say come down. It's worth a shot to better understand timber and how to really use it so that we all benefit as a country.
Mr. Mendez?
So it's a real opportunity to see what is available and what it would look like in use, and basically see that Guyana does actually, we do have quality wood products available locally that's as good or better than anything that could be imported. Or certainly looks a lot better, I think, than a lot of the substitutes. Looking up at a ceiling and at a PVC ceiling, to me that really takes away from a house. Have a nice, close boarded roof with, green heart or locust or whatever. It really adds to the value of your home, and it really really stands out. So take the opportunity, see what we have, talk to people, get a better understanding of what you should be looking for. Forestry will be talking about grading and what you as a consumer can do to protect yourself to ensure that you get what you're asking for. So not only seeing the product, but also understanding how to buy it, what to look for, what to define. So we don't have to fall back to the old adage, caveat emptor, which is buyer beware. Educate yourself so you can make informed decisions that can really add value to your home.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is a discussion on the Guyana Timber Expo that will be held in May 18th to 20th. Thank you for joining us, and we do look forward to talking with you again next week.